Hey everyone, welcome back. And we are going to go into chapter 3 of the residue of trauma, learned helplessness. And again, we're just going to focus on listening to the book and then doing the integration magnetic mind audio. So kick back, relax. Of course, do not listen to these while you're driving. And we will get started. Chapter 3 of the residue of trauma, learned helplessness. Catastrophic thinking, living under the shadow of what if. Quote, the primary cause of unhappiness is never the situation, but our thoughts about it. Eckhart Tolle. Catastrophic thinking, or catastrophizing, is considered a cognitive distortion in which an individual consistently anticipates the worst possible outcome. It feels like the pebbles in life are received as boulders. Around any corner could be an impending disaster. While fleeting catastrophic thoughts are common, for some this is a way of thinking that becomes deeply ingrained, shaping their worldview and interactions. Catastrophic thinking can be intense. It creates psychological and physiological effects on a person's mind and body. In general, it's believed that catastrophic thinking is not an innate trait, but a learned behavior, often rooted in early experiences and environmental factors. I have yet to meet someone with catastrophic thinking that hasn't survived catastrophic events or experiences. I group them in 3 areas. Childhood experience. Children who have experienced environments of unpredictability or danger often develop this pattern of thinking to help them feel safe and prepared. Living in constant chaos and lack of safety develops a pattern of trying to anticipate the worst-case scenario as to avoid them. These environments of unpredictability or dangerous people teach children to interpret challenges as insurmountable. When caregivers are overcritical, anxious, harsh, and poor problem solvers themselves, one is left to fend for themselves. This leaves the child with a lot of unresolved loss and failure in life. This unprocessed grief follows them into adulthood. I feel it in a client's chest. Personality traits and temperament. Individuals with a higher level of neuroticism or a natural predisposition to anxiety, negative emotions may be more prone to catastrophic thinking. It used to be that women were classified as neurotic, experiencing more negative emotions, when often they were just responding to the environment. Nowadays, both men and women can rank high in neuroticism. A perfectionistic mindset, often from trauma, can amplify fears of failure. This can turn into a pattern of catastrophic thinking when faced with uncertainty or unfamiliar experiences. Totally me. I still don't like surprises. Reinforcement. Negative experiences that align with catastrophic thoughts reinforce the belief that catastrophizing is a valid form of preparation or protection. Beliefs like, I knew this would happen, I knew this would go terribly wrong, can cloud a person's perception going into a job interview. Everyone has their own intuition, yet when trauma accentuates one's intuition, they often focus in on the most dangerous person or element in the room. This blots out all other, more positive opinions in the room or situation, only reinforcing anxiety and catastrophizing. Catastrophic thinking follows a predictive cognitive pattern. Triggering event. A sizable setback, minor setback, lack of resources, or ambiguous situation is all that it takes to start this mental fire burning. Examples could be your boss sends you a vague email. Someone has a look on their face. Or maybe it's just too much unstructured time on their hands. Exaggeration of consequences. Leaping to extreme interpretations. When a child experiences adult consequences for childhood errors, it creates an internal emotional pressure. There's an underlying feeling of panic or guilt when things don't go smoothly or as expected. Constantly having to reevaluate situations is how all of this extra energy is spent. Emotional flooding. When an emotion rushes in too quickly or too intensely, it causes a state of panic, overwhelm, or powerlessness to dominate, making rational thought difficult. It feels nearly impossible to get oneself back under control when the emotions are flooding in faster than they can be managed. Often, once the event is over, no matter what the result, it is often followed by an avalanche of shame, which leaves them even more paralyzed and stuck in catastrophic thinking. Reinforcement loop. When nothing catastrophic happens, the individual might attribute this to their vigilance and planning, reinforcing the cycle. Catastrophic thinking thrives on the what-if scenario, continuously growing due to overwhelming fear. Over time, the brain becomes conditioned to seek out worst-case scenarios, even where none exist, creating the cycle of needing to have drama in life to feel alive. When I released the trauma drama, I went to therapy because I thought I was depressed after my divorce. I was unaware of how damaging being with my first husband was. After about 3 sessions, the therapist suggested that I wasn't depressed, but that I have stepped off of the adrenaline bus. That after living with such a chaotic, unpredictable person for so many years, that when I created a life for myself that didn't include their drama, it felt flat. I still have times in my life when things are going smoothly and I'm leveling up to the next great thing in life, and that flat feeling creeps in. I get out my worksheet and listen to one of the audios from my website, Shifting the Emotional Residue, that was still in my subconscious, and I get back to life. I make it a habit to redirect myself away from drama and not solve other people's drama just for the adrenaline rush. This has made my life so much more enjoyable and has brought a sense of peace to my heart. It takes a bit of practice to be relaxed after stepping off of the adrenaline bus. I don't remember who shared this with me, but the quote is, "You don't have to go to every fight you're invited to." I think of things as an invitation now. It is so much easier to say no. Catastrophic thinking can affect nearly every aspect of a person's life, whether it's mental, physical, or interpersonal relationships. Catastrophic thinking fuels chronic anxiety by keeping the brain in a constant state of alert. Over time, this depletes an individual's emotional and nutritional resources. Stressed out brains burn up way more nutrients than a calm brain. Once deep in catastrophic thought, it makes even small decisions feel impossible. A form of decision paralysis or procrastination are often the result. Persistent catastrophizing erodes confidence, causes fatigue, and the individual begins to believe they cannot handle life. Over time, this chronic stress can cause tension headaches, muscle pain, digestive issues, and sleep disturbances, which reinforces this pattern even more. Consistent catastrophizing can exhaust friends and family They feel overwhelmed by the constant rumination. Family and friends get worn out and turn a silent ear after hearing about the same fears and troubles when no action is taken to correct the topic an individual is catastrophizing about. This often leads to avoidant behaviors and loneliness, a lose-lose scenario. This is the end of Chapter 3. Chapter 3's audio follows. And real quickly here, before I move on to the integration audio for Chapter 3, we're going to go through just real quickly for those of you that don't have a worksheet and you're just going to kind of mentally go through the process, which is fine. The questions to kind of bring things into your active experience is, the first one is, what topic do you grind on constantly? Mine's always money. What is your strongest negative emotion? I would say mine is disappointment. What do you exaggerate in your life? Oh, I don't know. I would have to think about that one a little bit. I have a tendency, and maybe this is an ADHD thing, but I have a tendency to experience things in a bigger way than other people. So my emotions, my experiences sometimes just can feel exaggerated to me, like more intense. And then, of course, what do you feel you can't handle in life? So kind of, you can either jot those down or kind of let it stir around in your head, what I call the mental and emotional soup. What's going on in your body. And as you focus on those, we're going to move into the actual magnetic mind session. Hey everybody, this is Gina. We're moving on to Chapter 3. And we're going to follow the same format from the journal page. Hopefully you've had time to download it, print it off. If not, you can just use a normal sheet of paper. The first thing you want to do is to tune into yourself and see how you feel and what topic you would like to work on from Chapter 3. And of course, the first thing we're going to focus on in relation to this is, what are the things you're doing that are working for you? Because see, many times when I ask people this question, they kind of get a stalemate. They can point out all the things they're doing wrong, but they may have a hard time pointing out what they're doing right. So I want people to spend a little bit of time focusing on, what are the things you're doing that are working, that are producing results, that are making you successful. And you can pause the audio at any time if you need more time to fill out the questionnaire. And then focusing on, what is it you would like to create? What are those goals you're moving towards? What are the emotions you would like to feel? And what are those things you would like to bring into your life? Could be people, could be things. And as we get ready to move into the clearing part, I ask permission to work with your superconsciousness. And you could just think or say, I give Gina permission to work with my superconsciousness. And of course, listening to the audio, using any resources off my website is giving permission. So take a few deep breaths, closing your eyes, bringing your attention inward. And what topics do you grind on consistently? the things you overthink. And I want you to pick the one that is the most uncomfortable. And bring that into your conscious awareness and explore it. What does it feel like when you're overthinking that one? What are the topics or the thoughts that keep you awake at night? And I'm going to speak to your superconsciousness. The superconsciousness, please add or subtract the basic neural structure within the visual, auditory, kinesthetic, heart, and breathing system of the body to increase the effectiveness of this treatment. And when that's done, do a massive history change and everything after that. And take a deep breath. Because when we're grinding on something, we have neural pathways that have been used over and over and over. And again, bring your topic to mind. What is it that you overthink or grind on? The superconsciousness, please go back to the original event that started this pattern. Treating any hypervigilance, treating any fear, treating any unmet needs. Treating any controller parts and matching them with their opposite pair to bring in neutrality. And parts, superconsciousness can treat trauma and pain. No parts will die, no information will be lost. The goal is integrate with the main identity. Sharing the same memories and being able to run the body seamlessly without conflict. Then we move on. What is your strongest negative emotion? And again, your experience is your experience. We're not judging this. But what is your strongest negative emotion? Or it could even be, what negative emotion do you experience the most often? The superconsciousness, as they bring that into the active experience, please treat it with a massive history change and everything after that. And please treat all meaning that is associated to and with this emotion. Replacing it with positive emotions, positive associations, and removing its structure wherever possible. And when ready, do a massive history change and everything after that. And again, take a deep breath. And then I want you to take a moment focusing on, what are those things you exaggerate in life? Maybe you have accomplishments that when you share them, it's kind of like when people go fishing, they caught that 2-foot fish when it was, a 6-inch fish. What are those things we like to exaggerate or embellish? And if you're not aware of it, allow the superconsciousness to bring it to mind. We could have emotions that we exaggerate, or maybe we exaggerate the ways that we've failed in life. The superconsciousness, please tag and treat all of this. Any perceptual distortions, and any way that these exaggerations hold us back, prevent us from seeing our truth, acting our truth, and being our truth. And treat that with a massive history change and everything after that. And for the next one, which I think is very appropriate for the time,
that we have in life right now? What do you feel you can't handle in life? Bring the one that is most uncomfortable, because you can listen to this audio over and over again and pick new areas that relate to these questions and have those cleared also. Every time you use the worksheet, do the journal page, and listen to the audio, something new is cleared. So again, I want you to focus on, what do you feel you can't handle in life? And pick the one that's the most uncomfortable, the area you really struggle in. The super consciousness, as they bring this into their active experience, please treat, tagging and treating all events, memories, situations, emotions, associations that create this struggle, going back to the original event, as far back in the timeline. Even go through the mother and father's timeline, finding that original event, treating at that point. Treating all fields until those fields fall away. And treating every subsequent action up until this now moment and forward into the future. Treating all themes of struggle. Treating themes of confusion. Treating themes of paralysis. And treat all fear. The fear of taking action. And superconsciousness also treat any patterns where they did take action and got it punished anyway. And superconscious treat anywhere where they got rewarded for inaction. And then when ready, I ask you to do one more complete massive history change and everything after that. And everything that we have touched today, we ask you to anchor it into the matrix of the universe. Tandem memories, shadow memories, ego states, and grounding it into the matrix of the universe. And super consciousness, if there's anything that we haven't treated that was tagged from the last session until now, we ask that you treat it now, slowly and safely. And between now and the next session, please tag anything in a neutral fashion. And trading it out were self-empowering beliefs, self-empowering emotions. And with your permission, we will bring this session to a close. And again, as you move forward in your day, take a moment to focus on, how do you feel now after the session? Take time to reflect. And as you move forward, notice those areas where they've changed. Are you thinking different? Do you feel different? What topics came up that maybe you might want to listen to this audio again? And you can jot those down on your journal. And when you're ready, you can move on to chapter 4. Now that you've completed chapter 3 and the integration audio, you might want to kind of take a little inventory of the things that you're beginning to notice that are shifting. Maybe you're getting more aha moments. After you've done 2 or 3 chapters, that's when you really start to notice things are getting a little bit different. They're getting a little bit better. You're easier to make decisions. It's easier to take actions. For some people, they'll start having different awarenesses, like maybe there's something they didn't like before and now they're actually beginning to like it, or maybe they're beginning to see their boss in a different light. So we're going to get all sorts of different aha moments and responding in different ways. And also, once you've completed this, take a little bit of time to either write down, or you can like type it into your phone. Even though we finished a chapter on like catastrophizing, during that audio, was there anything that came up where you're like, oh yeah, like that really has like a strong charge on it, I should work on that either with, again, listening to just the integration part of this audio. You can always listen to the book part also too. It's good to have a refresher every once in a while. But once you've gone through all of this once, if you want to just pick a new topic, then you really just need to listen to the integration process. You don't have to go through the whole audio again. A couple people had asked me about if they had to listen to the whole thing. And no, you don't have to listen to the book part again. That's just to give you an idea of how we get conditioned from behaviors and environments that we were raised in. And again, if you have a topic or content you want me to work on, make a video for, leave it in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in chapter 4.